This is the Home Tech Podcast, show number 45, recorded on September 29th, 2011. I am your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a sunny, gorgeous, and beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. I said that. It seems like I've been saying that a lot, but we've had a run of just beautiful weather here in Nebraska. The falls and springs are awesome, and so it's good to get outside, get some running in, and enjoy it. Winter's coming, and that's the worst part of being here. So, beautiful Nebraska, and of course we post this show each week live on the AverageGuy.tv. You can contact the show, send us and send me an email, podcast@theaverageguy.tv. You can send me a tweet on Twitter, and that's just @jcollison, or you can find us on Facebook just by searching for the Average Guy Podcast. Some good stuff going on out there at Facebook. Not all the changes. We won't talk about those tonight, but I think the number one complaint that I've heard recently about Facebook is all the changes that are going on. Lots of changes happening out in the social media space. Speaking of changes, our RSS feed is changing. I've been talking about this for 4 or 5 weeks now. I'm not going to feel too bad, although I do want you to follow us over. But I'm not going to feel bad if you miss it because I've been saying it a lot. So if you have an automatic feed coming in through iTunes or an RSS feed coming in through your Zune player or some other kind of pod catcher, you want to go out to the AverageGuy.tv and grab the newest and updated RSS feeds. This will be the very last, and there should be cheering in the background here, guys. You ready? This should be the very last podcast on Podomatic.
Yay!
Yay! Okay, there we go. Yeah, that means nothing to anybody, but we've been using Podomatic as a service for about a year now, and we're big enough. We've grown large enough to have it hosted at IX Web Hosting, and that's all up and running and working. And so if you'd like to keep hearing the podcast, get out there, grab the new links. We have one for iTunes specifically, and then an RSS feed for everything else. Get those changed out, and you will enjoy hearing these each and every week. I also expanded those so you can get more podcasts if you want them. They only used to go back to the last 10 episodes. If you want to go back farther, this now goes back 50, so you can hear all the podcasts in all their glory. And Andrew, you've been doing this with me, I think, almost since the beginning, right? Did we bring you in on one?
I think it was around about 6 or 7 I came in.
Was it that long ago? I know we had Brian.
Yeah.
Brian stayed with us till just over 10, and then I think Christian's been on since the beginning. So you can go back and hear all those podcasts as we learned how to do this thing called the Home Tech Podcast. So I want to welcome the guys, and I'll introduce them here one by one. First, of course, you just heard him, Andrew Morris. Andrew is our friend from Melbourne, Australia, and is all things HP touchpad right now. And Andrew, did you get the box that I sent you?
No, the box still hasn't arrived. I was kind of hoping it might have arrived today, but
it's going to take forever. You know that,
yeah,
right?
probably.
Yeah, it's going to take forever.
Murphy's Law.
So Omaha, Nebraska to Melbourne, Australia is a lot of miles. You could probably Google that. It's a couple thousand miles, but it's got to go a long ways. How are you enjoying your touchpad?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Starting to put some patches on it to make it faster, and enjoying it. Everyone at work has started getting them as well. They did a second staff release, which they said was also going to go public in the US, but apparently didn't. So yeah, we're enjoying it.
That's where all the touchpads went. I'm just telling U.S. listeners that if you were hoping to get a touchpad, they've all gone to HP employees, minus one CEO who probably removed his touchpad from. Maybe you think they removed his touchpad before they fired him, or maybe shut off his email before they fired him. They did it. So
yeah, I don't know. He got a good payout, so I think he can afford to buy an iPad now.
$35 million worth. All right, also with us tonight and filling in for Christian, the next best thing to be in there, Gary Johnson. Gary, thanks for coming on tonight. How you doing?
Fine, if I can get my...
Get your mute off.
Is it on?
Now,
there you
go. We can hear you now. How are you doing? That's all right.
I'm fine, thanks.
It's good to see you. Now, you got a new headset. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, and
yes.
It sounds great. What'd you pick up again?
Sennheiser. On Newegg was $89. So hopefully pretty decent quality. I mean,
great quality.
I played around with those Bluetooths long enough to be frustrated forever. And no more. I just plug this one in and it works.
You know, I've got a Bluetooth receiver in my car that doubles as a hands-free mechanism, you know, and sometimes, and I've also got an aux in on my car, you know, so I can plug the iPod in. And I'll be honest with you, 90% of the time I use the old, it's kind of old school.
Plug it in.
Plug it in. You know, the Bluetooth should be cool, but it's turn Bluetooth on the phone, start the player, turn on the device, make sure it links, make sure the volume's right. You know, it's just all those steps you got to go through. Sometimes having all that technology isn't great. So anyways, welcome to the podcast. Joining us again, and no stranger to the show, of course, Gordon Schmidt. Gordon, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good, Jim.
Gordon, we haven't talked in a while. What are you working on, man? Is work keeping you busy, or you got any tech projects in the making?
Mostly work. I've been playing around with my Windows Home Server 2011.
So you're up and running on 2011 at this point?
Yep.
Okay. And
how's a lot less issues than I had with version 1. So
really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. And how's the Galaxy Tab?
It's doing really good.
Yeah. I had to smack you down a little bit the other night on a podcast.
You had a good point there. I was complaining a little bit about Drobo's price, and you were saying, well, I guess if you have enough money to buy an iPad or a tab, you probably shouldn't be complaining.
Yeah, a little bit of smack down there. So it's good. I appreciate you taking that the right way and not getting offended with me as we talk about that. But yeah, you enjoying that tablet then?
Yeah, I like it a lot. The new 8.9 or 8.7 just came out, or is available for pre-order anyways. But and they're saying that's going to fit better in the hand. But I really like the 10.1 bigger screen.
Yeah, after working with the touchpad, and I haven't had an iPad, so I don't know, but that form factor is a little large for me. Gary, we talked about the phablet, that between 5 and 8 inch. I forgot how we defined the size of that, that phone tablet hybrid, the phablet. We'll just say it again because you came up.
Yeah,
pretty sure you came up with that.
Looks like a bigger than a 5 and a smaller than a 7.
Yeah,
that's probably the best way to describe it.
We'll talk a little bit about that form factor here in just a second as we talk about the new Kindle stuff. I also want to introduce to the show John Hughes. John is a developer both for home automation and does some iPhone and iPad development as well. John joined us, 6 or 7 weeks ago on the show. John, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you for having me back. I'm good.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to have you back. Of course, it's good for me to be back. I'll be gone. I want to let folks know I will actually be in the heart of Silicon Valley this weekend, and we're going to be working with Drobo. Speaking of Drobo, we'll be at the Drobo headquarters on Monday, and I doubt I'll get a chance to do any live podcasting, but we're going to take some video while we're out there, and so it will be good to go, but it'll be good to come back. All right, guys. I want to move into some talk about the Kindle. Of course, they made the announcement earlier this week. They've got some new products coming out, and I don't know. Hopefully, you guys have gotten a chance to look at them. The price points are incredible. We talked a lot about the touchpad when it came out, and the reason it flew off the shelves like it did is because of the price point. The Kindle, the old school Kindle, down to $79. The Kindle Touch at $99. The Kindle Touch 3G at $149. The Kindle one with the keyboard, it's $99. The Kindle Keyboard 3G at $139. So notice I haven't had a 2 in here yet at this point. No $200 price point in any of these. And then the hottest of the hot and the colored Kindle Fire out at $199. Gordon, let me throw this over to you real quick because we just talked about you own a tab, a Galaxy Tab. As you look at this Kindle device, any initial thoughts on this? And are you kind of wishing you'd saved $300 and waited for a Kindle Fire?
I really like I haven't looked at as far as the specs for weight and how thin it is, but I'm guessing it's not as thin and light as the Samsung Tab. And I've noticed, I haven't read any books on it, but I've noticed surfing the web or anything, if I'm holding it in front of me and I don't have a place to rest it, that it can get heavy after a while, and I can't imagine having the Zoom that's way heavier.
Yeah.
So I like the Tab. I think maybe the Kindle, if it's running the stock Android OS, would be pretty good, but otherwise I'd stick with the Tab.
Well, which it's not. It's 2.3 of Android. Let me just read down some of these dimensions. So it's a 7-inch multi-touch display, IPS. The size of the unit, 7.5 inches by 4.7 by 0.45 of an inch, so less than a half an inch thick. So I would think that's pretty thin. It weighs 14 ounces, 14.6 ounces, 8 gig of memory internal, which of course the touchpad comes with 16. I think that's the smallest you can get an iPad
Correct.
What's your Galaxy Tab have?
Mine's only a 16, but
16. All right.
I have ways of getting around that.
One of the things that Amazon is touting, of course, because it's only 8 gig, they are giving unlimited free storage on the Amazon cloud. And so they're trying to say it's okay that you don't have a lot of memory on this device. You can back it up to the cloud. Supports public and private Wi-Fi networks, so hotspots just like you would expect. It does have a USB 2.0 port, which may be a little disappointing, but maybe it doesn't matter that it's not 3.0, and maybe that 2.0 works well. But a little surprising to me that it would even have a USB port on it. It does support that. I can't imagine what you'd plug in. John, you do iOS devices or programming for that. Have you been watching this, Kindle, and does it show up on your radar at all?
It does, but you know what? It shows up on my wife's radar big time.
And why is that?
The price point.
Okay.
She's been wanting a tablet for quite a while, and we just don't want to pay $400 for a tablet. I know there's some less expensive ones out there, but this looks really nice for the price and for what we might use it for. I think it doesn't have a camera or some of the other features of other tablets, but it looks nice.
Yeah, no camera, and that would be nice to have, I think, especially for shopping purposes. I don't know. I'm a little confused. I have an Android phone. I have a Sprint Epic. And you can get some, you can download that app that has the barcode reader on it, and then you can, scan an item, and it will tell you on Google Shopping where you can find it cheaper. How nice would that have been for Amazon to put a little camera on there just to scan the barcode and tell you how cheap it would be on Amazon, right? That to me, that would seem like that would be a pretty nifty feature for them to have. No camera, but color. About 100,000 movies and TV shows available for it. They, of course, Amazon Prime. I got blasted last night on the Home Server Show for not being an Amazon Prime user. Let's do a quick census. John, are you Amazon Prime?
No, I don't even know what that is. I know what Amazon Unbox is.
All right, so no. Gordon, Amazon Prime?
Nope.
Wow. Okay, so I don't feel so bad now. Andrew, that doesn't apply to you because they don't have Prime in Australia, do they?
I don't even know what it is. So.
Okay. Wow. This is awesome. I did not expect this at all.
I'm looking it up.
Gary,
me too.
You've got to be Amazon Prime for sure.
For what?
When you buy, do you buy from Amazon?
Yeah, not that often, to be
Okay.
honest
All
with
right.
you.
Okay.
No, I don't use it, and I don't know what advantage it would be to me, to be honest.
Well, there's a couple things with Amazon Prime, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you get free second-day shipping on anything you order from Amazon. So if you are doing a lot of shopping in Amazon, it streamlines the shipping process. I mean, basically, it's just about next day or the day after on anything you order. So as an example, this weekend we talked Mike Howard into buying this exact microphone with this exact arm and everything. Rich O'Neill and I talked him into buying this. He does some photography podcasts at JPEG to RAW, and I think that's jpeg2raw.com. So we got him all set up on that. He ordered it, and he actually had it. He ordered it Sunday. He had everything on Tuesday. I ordered this arm and the shock mount at the same time. I didn't get the arm. I guess I did get the arm in 2 days. That was here. No, that got here on Wednesday, and the shock mount still hasn't come. So they expedite the shipping with Prime. Now, one of the things that's big with Prime that you wouldn't even think about is you get unlimited streaming of all their videos, all the DVD rentals, just like Netflix used to be. Now
That might be
Amazon.
worth it if the library's halfway decent.
Yeah, and we'll save that library idea for another show because I think it deserves some digging into it. They tout about 100,000 movies and TV shows. I think they specialize more in TV than they do in movies, but Amazon wants to compete in this space, and so they're going to continue to build out that video platform. If you figure Prime is $80 a year, it works out to be about $6 something a month. If you were going to pay for that and you could get the streaming that you were normally getting through Netflix anyways and get free second-day shipping on anything you buy from, or just about anything you buy from Amazon, not too bad of a deal. So if you haven't checked that out, I don't make any money off Amazon Prime. Go out there, take a peek. That might be something if you order from Amazon quite a bit.
The other big thing there with Amazon Prime, it looks like, is there's no minimum, so there's no hitting that $25 mark before you can make a purchase. That'd be nice.
Yeah, so free shipping kicks in if you buy a $5 thing. Free shipping kicks in. You're done. So it's a pretty handy little feature. This Kindle Fire now has the Amazon Silk browser, which is kind of a brand new browser. Gordon, you got something to say about that? Or are you just wooing the name?
Having an Android device and everything, and having all the third party, there's 20 plus different kinds of browsers out there, and whether or not they actually work better than the stock one, I don't know.
They say this one is optimized for tablet browsing, and so it does some magic caching. John, you know anything about that? The Silk browser on there?
Are they all WebKit? Do they all use the WebKit framework?
It is a WebKit browser.
Okay.
That they've modified or added code to.
So they just add a fancy theme or template around it.
Mm.
Yeah, well, some way of accelerating or pre-caching some of the some of the sites that you use. So it's supposed to speed up the browsing. I don't know how well that pre-caching really works. I know back in the days of dial-up, there was a lot of magic, and I'm using quotes, magic, that was tried to be used to speed up internet connections until broadband became as popular as it is. I think this is another one of those things where 5 or 6 years from now it won't make any difference because connectivity will be so good.
Just hit the turbo button on your dial-up, right?
Yeah, turbo. It goes from a DX to an SX. So some good stuff in this Kindle. I'll be honest, it's something I do want to take a look at. It doesn't become available. You can pre-order them now. The most you'll pay is $199 for the best. They're released on November 15th, so we have a ways to go. I'm sure they are going to get dissected over the coming months, and there will be lots of talk about them, what's wrong with them, what's right with them, before we get there. So, Gary, is that something that interests you at all? Is that a Johnson family piece of hardware?
Yeah, I think primarily my wife is looking for it as a reader so that she can get rid of the paperbacks floating around the house and just transition to an electronic reader. I think that's something she's had her eye on doing for a while. So, yeah, that's a good possibility if it proves to be a more practical alternative than the Nook. So,
yeah,
and I've got to take a closer look at this Amazon Prime. I guess it's not bad. I found most of the price comparison shopping I do, I usually find things cheaper at Newegg when I order hardware anyway.
Right. There's some talk and chat about that right now, actually, as you mentioned that. I think Tim said he can actually find it sometimes at Amazon cheaper than Newegg. I know we go back and forth.
You go back and forth, and a lot of times Newegg has free shipping on a lot of their stuff anyway. But yeah, if the streaming turns out to be reasonable for $80 a year, then yeah, that's something I'd take a look at.
One of the other features, $3.99 next day. So if you just have to have it overnight, which that can be ridiculous from a shipping standpoint, but if you need it the next day, $3.99 as a Prime member, that can get expensive if you're doing that other places, and that's $4 feature on Prime. So not a bad little deal. I don't know why I haven't gone to it yet. Just about everybody I know does it. Like I said, I got blasted last night on the Home Server Show. Both Dave and John, Dave and everybody in chat kind of called me out for having it. So take a peek at that. Go ahead, John.
My family just dropped cable TV. We went through DirecTV, then cable TV, and now we're on Antenna and Netflix.
Yeah.
So we are currently experimenting with other alternatives. Like we've been using Netflix forever, but we're going to look into Hulu. So this might be another option for us to take a look at as well.
Yeah, take a peek. Do you guys? So you're getting over the air. How many over the air channels do you get there in Phoenix?
Well, if you are multilingual, I bet there's 25 or so.
All right.
But if you just speak English like myself, then maybe 10 that come in fantastic at least with my little antenna.
So you get the networks, you get the major networks plus PBS, and
there's 2 or 3 PBS channels. There's CW and a couple others.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the exact same setup as you, John, with the Netflix and the high def antenna, pulling about 10, 12 channels that you actually want to watch.
Gordon, are you using the streaming version of Netflix, or you got both? Are you paying for both?
We had both. My wife and I discussed it, and we decided to drop the DVDs and just use it through Redbox for the DVDs and keep the streaming.
Okay. And we did the opposite. Is that what you guys did, John?
Same thing.
Kept the streaming. We found the streaming selection to not be what we wanted, and the DVDs is what we were getting most frequently. So, and the Redbox, we watch a lot of TV shows that are, you know, like the A-Team, right, from the 80s. Mm-hmm. Well, you're not going to get that in Redbox, right?
That's right, sucker.
Yeah. So,
just love it when a plan comes together.
I knew as soon as I said A-Team, I was in trouble. I lost the show at A-Team. But we don't, because streaming is, the streaming is not necessarily as good, and the selection wasn't as good of the movies, that some of the movies, especially some of the newer movies that we wanted. So anyways, we took the DVD option. Did any of you guys get the letter from the CEO or from, I think it was the CEO of Netflix that said, we're sorry?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. So some major tech snafus, you know, think about that's Netflix apologizing, Facebook.
Yeah, but, you know, all right, you're sorry you raised my bill by 60%. Okay, so what's your point?
Right. Do something
I'm still not going to accept a 60% price hike. I canceled everything just because I think if everybody did that, they'd have had to back down. I mean, you know, where else would you go where you would accept a 60% price hike and reward that supplier by staying with them? I just don't see it.
The Apple Store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been on since almost the beginning, and it was something like $8. I don't remember the number, but $8 for like 3 DVDs out a month. So our price has gone up significantly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we dropped.
But like I say, just in one shot like that to whack everybody 60%, not me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's pretty rude, isn't it?
It was
I thought so.
A pretty steep jump here in the U.S. I don't think they anticipated the fallout that they got from it, and certainly some folks have looked at Amazon Prime because of that. I do need to take a look at their selection and see if that's gotten any better. But we use over-the-air as well, so you know, we were talking about you know, like the NBC has 3 different, here in the Omaha market, NBC has 3 different over-the-air channels that you can get. And they recently, and this was mean, they recently took away, this was free, and they took away Universal Sports, which was a channel I had watched a lot of. It had a lot of great, like, track and field, triathlon, stuff that you don't normally get on the network. They were broadcasting on Universal Sports. I guess it got too popular, and so they moved it to the channel, or to the cable only, and are not broadcasting it over the air now. So I was a little disappointed that they yanked it from over the air. But we get, I don't know, we get probably 20 or 25 channels all in English that we have access to. We're right on the border between Iowa and Nebraska, and so we get both the Iowa public stations and the Nebraska public stations, which is kind of cool. So you can get a little different PBS programming. Okay. So lots of options out there for you. And I, you know, John, I'm hearing a lot of folks talk about just ditching the cable and going, you know, to some other alternatives. Do you guys feel like where you're at right now is acceptable, or you still feel like you're in a beta phase?
Well, we certainly need a better antenna. There's no doubt about that. But we're doing okay. We don't have a whole lot of free time right now in our families, so we don't watch a lot of TV. But I will say that the Netflix online streaming solution has improved quite a bit since a few years ago. It really wasn't very good, but or there wasn't a large selection, and a lot of the stuff was really old. But that's doing all right. And for the types of shows that we watch and the limited amount of time we have, it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
I've got a question. I'm browsing through the Amazon Prime, and I see listings for HD and regular, and I'm just wondering is the HD free with the Amazon Prime?
Might be a good question for chat, since none of us own Prime. None of us are on the Prime program. I don't know. Chat, maybe you can answer that, and I'll watch chat.
I see one, Yellowstone HD Prime member 0. So apparently it is.
Okay. And Tim made a note in chat as well. So while we're talking about subscription-based stuff, so a lot of folks for music have moved. You know, Spotify, of course, jumped on the scene in the last couple months as a $9.99 service out to your phone. It looks like that forced Zune, which is the Microsoft music streaming. Looks like they have also dropped the Zune Pass subscription down to $9.99, but no 10 free songs per month, which I don't think is all that bad of a deal. I think it's that hybrid, get 10, pay for 10 plus. I wasn't real sure that if I'm going to go subscription, I'm going to go completely subscription, I'm not going to own the music if I'm going to stay on subscription. So $10 a month, all the music. Tim says he's going to keep his $14.99 with the 10 free songs per month. So I guess that just depends on what you want. Any of you guys using a music service at all from downloads?
No.
Anyone? Nope. None of us. Wow. Well, if we're a segment of the U.S. population, there's a good reason why subscription-based stuff is not working or they're not making any money off it. Certainly Netflix was making a ton. They're making a ton less today because of their decisions. And I ultimately think they'll have to revamp their strategy, and they'll come out with some different pricing, Gary. So I think it's coming. I just don't think you can send out an apology letter and change the pricing at the same time. That's too much. That's too much to do all at once. That makes the CEO look really bad. It was bad enough he had to apologize, right?
Yeah, and I guess you mentioned Spotify. I think they've got. I do recall reading this week that they may have a little egg on their face from some interconnection with Facebook and privacy and so on.
Okay. And Gordon, you dropped a link to an antenna in the Skype.
Yeah, I dropped the link to the high def antenna. I use the WinGuard. Let's see, it's the SS-2000. It's a 16-inch, perfectly square UHF antenna.
Okay. And you've had good success with it?
Yeah, I basically went up on the roof, took the satellite that was up there down, used the same post, dropped the antenna on there, went to the high def antenna website. I forget what the URL is for that, basically, but punched in my address. It tells you which direction to point it at to get the best signal, and had it up and running in 15 minutes.
Okay, so pretty easy to do. It does say it's out of stock right now at Newegg, but that gives some folks an idea of what you could do. It's easy enough. I was over at the Sears store. We have a Sears outlet now. It's just a little tiny. It's almost smaller than 7-Eleven, which is ironic considering Sears. Those stores used to be gigantic, and they were clearancing out their HD antennas, and they were like $30. I should have picked one up. Well, how much was the cost on this one, Gordon?
I got it for $99.
Okay,
when I
so
bought it.
$50 to $100. This one was $30. I should have picked it up. So that sounded like a good. They were just clearancing them right out of there. So look for those. I've thought about putting one in my attic, so I don't even have to go outside.
Yep.
So, okay, good stuff. Andrew, I want to cut over a little bit to your post out there. My son recently bought a 2002 Ford Mustang that we got just for a great deal after a whole bunch of hail damage came in here. And that morning you and I were talking about, and then you sent me a link to a site. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was real timely, actually. One of the guys at work, his brother works for Ford out here in Australia, and you and I literally finished talking about it, and he sends me this link on the Ford website, the Mustang Customizer, which lets you basically build your own Mustang. So it's something that we don't see a lot out here, is one, the Mustang, or two, the ability to build your own car.
Yeah, to build your own car online, right? I mean, it's pretty cool. If you go out to Ford.com/cars/Mustang/customizer, we'll have that in the show notes if you want to look at it.
It'll be in the notes. So it lets you take pretty much every option that's available on the car, take different aspects, rotate the thing around, and even give it, burn out smoke, or change the background, have it on a runway, or have it in front of a garage or something like that. So it was one of those things that was a really cool thing for us to look at. One, we don't get the car at all, and two, just to be able to customize, to see how much you guys can actually customize a vehicle when you buy it.
Yeah, and the technology used on this website too, and John, you probably
awesome.
You probably know what's going on behind the scenes to make this work, but the way they've designed it is really cool. It's got a transformer-like effect when you change the settings for the car. And so you can kind of hover over it, and like you said, you can change things around. It'll change the car color. It'll add a different bumper. It'll put in a different grill. If you're a car nut and a Mustang junkie, you could be on this site for a while. It is very cool. So one of those things that you wouldn't normally think about, but again, it's Ford has been on the edge of technology innovation lately, doing some great stuff with Sync, and of course this site is very, very cool. Are they doing it for?
Do the wheels. The wheels. There's 22 different sets of wheels. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Some of the wheels are good. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I like so you go to the V6 and it says, okay, there's 444 horsepower and gives you some mileage, and then you switch to the GT and it says 400, and I think I had that number wrong. One sec here, let me go back. The V6 has 305 horsepower. GT has Sport and 412. The Boss version's 444. Is that how you pronounce that? Boss, B-O-S-S, right? Boss?
Boss, yeah.
Yeah, and then the Shelby, 550 horsepower.
They should drop the V6. Not even an option.
You think? Now, that's what my son got. He's 20 and in college, and the car he bought, of course he bought it used, has the V6, and I was grateful for that.
Yeah, but then you buy the decals and you fake everybody out.
Yeah.
You just tell them I don't like to push it.
I didn't like the way it drove, but this year, that year of Ford, I think they put a truck engine in there or something. It drives like one of the F-150s.
They get a 5.
Say that again, Gordon.
They get a 5-liter in there.
I think it is, yeah. And it just doesn't sound, and maybe it's the exhaust, I don't know, but it just doesn't sound as bad as I want a Mustang. I wanted that thing to sound bad.
Is it cold air intake into the exhaust kit?
It does have it did have cold air intake in it when he got it, and I don't think it has the exhaust kit, but I want that Dodge Charger sound. And ironically, we also bought a Chrysler Pacifica, an 05 Pacifica that we bought used, and that thing sounds like a race car. I mean, I don't know what it is, but you punch it and it sounds. And this is a crossover. And I'm like, I wanted the Mustang to sound like that, but yeah. So some cool technology out there. John, any hint on any of the web technology that's behind this? Is it just Flash-based stuff, or is that how that works?
I haven't taken a look at the site, but Flash or Silverlight would be what it would have been
it's just Flash
a year ago. Yeah. But a lot of new things are coming out, which is HTML5.
Yeah, that can handle.
This one's just Flash because if you right-click on it, at the bottom of your options, it says about Adobe Flash Player.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Well, that's very cool. Andrew, that was a good find.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah, I was really disappointed that you can't have the bog stock stand. What was it? The top of the line model you can't have as an Eleanor with all the the custom headlights and everything in it.
Oh yeah, an Eleanor.
Yeah.
The lovely Eleanor.
Yeah, that's the one out here that we all look at and go, oh, I want one of them. The GT500.
Well, the question is, does it come with Ford Sync?
Who cares? You don't buy something like that to listen to music. You buy something like that to listen to the exhaust.
You need the Knight Rider kit on it, right?
This is true. Yeah.
That wasn't a Ford that they used in Knight Rider. The last version.
It was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the GT500. Yeah.
It was originally
but
a
having
Firebird.
Say that again, Gary.
Wasn't it originally a Firebird?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was
the original
Pontiac.
show.
Yeah, the original back in the 80s.
Yeah, it was. It was Pontiac.
We date ourselves.
Yeah,
we should stop talking about that.
Back before he became a lifeguard, right?
Back before, when no one knew who the Hasselhoff was, there was Knight Rider. So very cool. All I remember is him punching things in the overhead, whatever they called that. He had a center console across, and he is just punching away things, screaming at Kit to go turbo boost or something like that. That seemed like that was every show. Turbo boost, Kit, turbo boost, and that thing
and the
was
little
sliding.
steering wheel that was just horizontal. Yeah.
Right, that was cool. All right. Gary, let's kick over for Christian's Corner. You're filling in for him. We got a deal of the week.
Yes, we do. I think everybody, really should. It's worthwhile to sign up at Newegg for their promo deals to get notified by email. They really do run some good sales that that really give you some nice price opportunities. If you're aware of what you're looking for and you kind of follow what the prices are and you've shopped around, you just might catch one that is something you've kind of been looking for, and it might come in at a price point where you say, hey, now's the time to grab it. As you know, I'm a big hard drive fan, and Newegg, I got an email yesterday. It's a 3-day sale. I posted the link in the show notes. The Seagate XT 7200 RPM 3 terabyte drive, and this is a fast drive. This thing, I've used HD Tune Pro and gotten 150 megabytes per second transfer rates on it, and it's on sale for $149.99, $150. Normally it sells for $179, and I think retail at most places is $199. So if you're looking for a nice performing hard drive with a ton of storage, it's really a good buy. Second, I ordered a...
Hey, Gary, on that, real quick, sorry, on that same deal is a 23-inch Asus monitor for $140. So if you've been waiting to upgrade your monitor, that's not too bad of a deal either.
There's a whole... In that link, there's a ton of deals. And, you can go through a lot of them, like I say, and I monitor the prices of hard drives. That's the one that stood out for me. So, like I say, if you've been in the market for a particular product, these email notifications from Newegg, sometimes it just hits with something you're looking for at a really good price. And then tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon sometime, actually this evening, I went and picked up my next M card. That's from Verizon.
Yeah.
That's the tuner card for the cable devices and for television. And I'll be popping that into a Silicon Dust HD Home Run Prime tomorrow afternoon, which will enable me to activate 3 tuners with the Simulcrypt decryption for the digital cable, which means we'll be able to watch 3 digital cables channels off of Verizon Fios. But the neat thing about this thing is it plugs into the switch on your network. So anybody in the house at any of the computers, any 3 people at one time can tap into a tuner off this device and watch anything that's available on our Verizon Fios subscription. So
that'd be nice.
Yeah, it's cool. Like
since it's just 3 of you in the house now, right? You can all have your own channel.
Yeah, and that would still leave the television with the HTPC that can tune in that can tune in 4 things simultaneously for a guest. So, yeah, it just gives you flexibility. And I'm down in the basement, so I really want this to, when I watch the news down here, I don't have to have a separate television. I'll just plug into one of those tuners. Now, the deal, though, on that, and this is another good deal, Newegg retails it for $249, and JR.com, which is JR Electronics out of New York City, they show it on their website at $299. But if you call them on the phone and you tell them, I saw you had that on sale over Labor Day for $188, they'll give you the price. So unfortunately, I live in New York State, so I got hit with the taxes at 8.75% and the shipping. So the bill on that came to $208.
And that's just for the card, right? That's just for that does not include the Silicon Dust HD Home Run that you're going to put that in, right?
No, that is the Silicon Dust HD Home Run Prime. That is the unit, that'll plug into the network.
Right.
And then you take this from your cable provider and you insert that into the HD Home Run Prime, and this enables the tuners in the Prime unit to unscramble all the digital.
And how much was that?
$399 a month.
Okay, so you're just renting that. You're renting that from the cable card from your cable.
It's cheaper than the set-top box that they give you, and you get 3 tuners instead of 1.
All right, so $208 for the roughly $200 for the Silicon Dust HD Home Run Prime. 3 tuner card. It's got 1 network, so is it gigabit or is it 10100 on the network?
No, gigabit LAN.
Gigabit.
Gigabit.
That's not a bad deal. $200, $399 a month. It would vary in your area. We have Cox Communications here, and when I asked them about a cable card, their eyes got crossed and they didn't know what I was talking about. So I think it varies from place to place, but it sounds like you've got a good setup there.
And the other thing is when the tech came out to do the CTON card, when we built the HTPC, I had to teach the tech how to do that. So you run into varying degrees of competence.
These guys make like $12 an hour. So be gentle with them.
Well, I don't know. Verizon is pretty much union. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a little.
Yeah.
And then I got another great site that there's another nice little article. I don't know how many people go there. It's a pretty big site. It's called How to Geek. And I posted the link on that. And they had a nice little thing up there. Do you know how long your cell provider is storing your text messages, your call logs, and other personal information? So if you're curious about that and, you're worried about that text message you sent to somebody that wasn't as appropriate as it should have, this little article will tell you when you can breathe a sigh of relief. Other than that, they can track you for just about 2 years on most everything. And then I got to cover Christian's speed tip of the week. So I was reading this little article over at PC Stats, and I thought it was a good article. PCStats.com is another good website for beginners, intermediate, and power users. A lot of good information, a lot of beginner's guides for Windows XP, Vista, Windows 7. And they had an article about, and it starts out that there's no doubt that all computers will eventually use solid-state drives. However, that time isn't quite here yet. So in the twilight years of the hard drive, manufacturers have been looking for ways to bridge the gap between the awesome storage capacities of the mechanical hard drive and the speed, but the limited storage capacity of solid-state drives. So there is a new technology out there that if you're interested in a new computer, I would look for this if you're going to buy a new motherboard or a new computer, just because it's an affordable technology that you'd probably like to take advantage moving forward. And it's called Intel Smart Response Technology. And what this does is it enables you to take a smaller, cheaper SSD and designate it to cache frequently accessed I/O in a sort of hybrid RAID 0 arrangement. So Windows will retrieve data it frequently requests from fast SSD memory instead of a hard drive's slow speed, a spinning drive. And so you get pretty much SSD-like responsiveness most of the time. And you still have the storage capacity of a traditional hard drive. So you get a little bit of the best of both worlds. And it doesn't require a very large solid-state drive. They talk about a 20 gigabyte Intel drive for $110, which does the job very well. But right now, the key is that the Intel Smart Response technology only works with specific Intel chipsets, and currently that is limited to the Intel Z68 PCH for the desktop computers and the HM67 and QM67 chipsets for notebooks. So again, those are things that it's new technology that will really have a big impact on your desktop speed. And, if you're going to be upgrading, it might be something that you might want to, take some interest in seeing whether or not your new system is going to have that capability. That's it.
Yeah, SSD prices just continue to drop. And so I think we're about to $1 a gig for some price points. I saw some 60 gig drives out there for $60. And, I know the BYOB guys would say I'm wrong, but 60 gigs good enough for Windows 7 for me. And I think next chance I get, I'm upgrading most of the laptops that we have to SSD. That's an easy install, and those things work super fast once you've got SSD drives in them.
Yeah, so. I think especially for anybody that has a home server where you don't need a ton of storage on your desktop, if you're on your network a lot and you you basically keep most of your data on the network storage. You really don't need a big SSD.
Yeah, I'd agree. Anybody switched over SSD for their desktop or their laptop? You guys? John, I thought you would have by now. Have you?
I don't trust it.
Really?
Too soon. I like the old hard drives that I know the data's going to be there for at least a few years. I would always back it up, of course. But
yeah.
You know, and the SSDs had some problems early on, and I think most of that's been corrected now. And the price point's kind of high for me as well.
Yeah, it is still. It's a little high. As I've been talking to guys like Mike Fauché and Martis over there at the BYOB, they always recommend second gen or above on some of these drives. So they're, the Vortex drives that are second gen have just been rock solid for these guys. So I think if I have a drive fail and I'm going to replace it, I'm probably going to spend, especially at that price point, if the difference between a cheap internal drive at $50 or an SSD at $100. For me, I'm going to go ahead and take the upgrade. It'll make that laptop run a whole bunch better. So,
but most of my PCs have a lot more space, over at 1 terabyte at least.
Sure.
So it gets pretty pricey.
Yeah, and I think for me, I'm even at the desktop level, I'm probably going to put the OS partition in there, or the OS drive in there. I haven't even thought about doing this at desktop. This has primarily been laptop, where it's just a single drive, and then they're saving everything to the network. But shoot, if I get it, Gary, doesn't Christian have an SSD in his desktop?
No, again, we've really put a lot of our investment into our servers, and
right.
The same thing. I mean, I'd love to have an SSD, but you guys both raised great points that are main concerns of mine. One is dependability, so I would probably want to go with an Intel SSD because everything I read says that if you want that little extra bit of quality and dependability, go. But the Intel price points are like through the roof.
Right.
The SATA 3 256 SSD is like $570. So that's more than $1 a gig. That's $2 a gig.
No, right.
Plus,
for some of those larger sizes, I guess I haven't really been thinking about trying to replace my 500 gig hard drive. My thought is replace the OS drive with SSD. That's where it's really important, is on those files it's accessing for the OS. Right. That's where you're going to see the lift.
Even the 128 SATA 3 SSD from Intel is like $250, $260. So again, the size and the price are just not attractive. It's something I'd like to do, but at this point, it's not a necessity. So at these price points, I'm not tempted yet.
Yeah, that's a good point.
On the OS drives, I can't tell you how many times I've been bitten by running out of space on my OS drive.
Okay.
I bet over 20 times.
Really?
And so I've gone with the attitude that I'm going to buy a huge drive for my OS drive that I know, at least 1 terabyte, that I know I'm not going to run out of space.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I don't worry about that as much. I'm not, you're a developer, John, and so you're probably doing a lot more. I'm really careful to move when I create these large podcast files, both video and audio. I move those immediately onto the home server. So I don't let those, build up. And I guess the other thing is I probably reload my Windows OS once a year, maybe even more frequently. I'll screw it up. Yeah, and so you eliminate all that crap that you don't need.
Or that you don't know is there.
Exactly, because it does create a lot. I was just going out to that drive, and I guess I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I have a 1 terabyte drive as my OS, and I'm using 450 gig of it. So yeah. I guess I can't.
See, sneaks up on you.
I guess I'm a liar. I just admit it right there. Here I'm talking about trying to use a 60 gig drive, and I'm using 500 gig on my OS.
John, as a developer, you're probably dumping everything down to your C drive to work on it, right?
A lot. I actually on my machine have about 3. Because I've got the new NAS, this has relieved my PC a little bit, but I do have several hard drives on my machine, and I try not to use a C drive for everything. But when you install things, it always asks you what machine you want to, or what drive you want to install it on. And then even if you install something on the D drive, most of the time it'll install something on the C drive.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We've got to play around with at work. Some of the new laptops that are coming in from Dell have the solid state drives in them, and whether it be XP or Windows 7, the boot time is increased considerably. And with us, you're at your desk docked. You've got to on-dock and go to a meeting. The best way to on-dock and dock again is to put it to sleep in between if you have a monitor hooked up to it to not cause issues. And that coming back out of sleep with a hard drive takes, sometimes it can take 2-3 minutes, 5. Where with the solid state, you open it up, you hit the power button and take it back out of sleep, and boom, it's right there where you left off.
Yeah. It is nice to have that. And I think I've admitted on the show before that, so I have a spinning drive on my laptop. I just pick the thing up. I just carry it to the next meeting. I don't close the lid. I just carry it. And I know someday that's going to come back to bite me. But so far I've done it for a year and without any problems.
I'm the same as you, Jim. I just pick it up, put it in the bag. I'll shut the lid running, throw it in the back of the car, drive home, pull it out of the bag, stick it on the docking station.
Now, most of those have that falling technology where it'll put the heads to sleep right away as soon as it notices motion, so it helps protect you a little bit.
No, that's true.
It's probably a ticking time bomb, and it'll bite me on the ass one day. But until that time happens. Oh, look, I'll be sure to. But the way I see it is, I also get a backup on the home server every day. So, worst case, I lose a couple of hours worth of email. I'm going to sleep okay with it.
Yeah, I don't keep anything I can't afford to lose on my laptop. It's going out to the network or it's getting backed up somewhere before I do it. So I can afford to do that. I have that little Nettop HP DM1Z that's fantastic at that. I mean, I close that lid and it winds down in 4 or 5 seconds. It's off.
Yeah.
And throw that in the bag, and I get to a new spot. I open that up, hit the space bar twice. It comes back on, and I'm back into Windows in about less than 10 seconds. And that's all spinning drive technology, but that thing has been optimized for that kind of environment, so it works out real well. But still, with my Dell at work, if I'm going between meetings, I just pick that thing up. I hold it like a pizza platter, carry it to the meeting. I set it gently on the table, and so far so good. I know that'll probably come back to bite me. But so speaking of backup, we talk a lot about backup on Wednesday nights in the Home Server Show. But John, you recently picked up a Synology DS411 NAS. And are you or are you not a home server user as well, or is this your first or your primary backup device? John, your mute's on. Sorry, bud. It's okay. We'll get you back.
There we go.
There we
I'm
go.
back.
Yeah, that's good. That happens to you. So
yes, it is my primary backup solution at this time. I have tinkered with a few different versions of the home server software, and I just couldn't find it. I just didn't want to have a large PC running all the time, so I kind of went the other direction. Now I do have another machine running. I have several machines actually running all the time, which is probably not the most green thing to do. But the actual unit is actually the DS411 Plus 2, which is they have another one. I think it's the 411, just the 411, but the Plus 2 is for speed. And whatever else they put in there, I don't know, faster CPU.
Yeah, how do they achieve that speed? What's different in there?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the specifics, but I know that the unit that I'm using, I think, is maybe a dual core 1 point some gigahertz processor. I'm trying to scroll through my notes here to find it. I don't see it right off, but yeah, they have a variety of different units. I bet they have over 15 different units you can go from. Anything from a small OneDrive. And I'm talking about Synology here, a small OneDrive unit to a 36-bay unit, or well, maybe 12, where you can expand upon that. They have rack-mountable solutions. They have quite a few solutions that are nice.
And so, go ahead, Gary.
I was just going to say, how do you think, though, that it compares price-wise with, something you could just build yourself?
It's probably more expensive depending on what you're doing. But I'm getting, you have to, when you look at something like this and when you look at the home server, you really have to identify what your needs are. And I identified that my needs, everything except for running home automation software, would work on this box. So not only is this a NAS server, but it provides a variety of different functionality. I mean, this is really a server in and of itself. It's a Linux server. And it provides DLNA media server, iTunes media server. It has, one of the things, to answer part of your question is, one of the things that I love about this unit is it has built-in software for IP cameras. It's a DVR. You can have something like up to a large number of IP cameras plugged into this thing, and it'll record. I don't have to buy DVR software on another machine. I've tried 3 different software packages. I have not been happy with any of them. This solution works great for me. For my needs, this solution is great for the IP cameras. So the IP camera software on this unit is better than the software provided by Panasonic, at least for my needs, and seem to be more reliable, and by the Cisco. When you buy an IP camera from Cisco Linksys, they provide you with some software as well. And this has worked great. I haven't had any problems with it. So that was a huge selling point for me. But in addition to that, it has a BitTorrent downloader server on it, which I don't really use much. It's got a web server, which I think is MySQL and PHP. It's got a print server. It's got an email server built into it, which I know you can do most of this with a home server as well. It's got backups that go directly to, we were talking about Amazon earlier and their cloud services. It's got Amazon S3 built into it. And then there's I think the next version is going to have an LDAP server and quite a few other things. I've got a bullet point list here that I can go over a few of my uses for it. But I also use it as a Squeezebox server. But I felt that it wasn't going to use as much power as a bigger machine, but price point wise, it is fairly pricey. And if you're just looking for a NAS server or device, this probably isn't it. But I was looking for more than that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the specs on their website, and it does look like they really cover the gamut of what most anybody would want to do. So from that perspective, having a plug-and-play device that covers all those bases without the hassle of doing it the old-fashioned way it's a pretty attractive setup.
And one of the other big selling points for me on this was that, and I'm not the first to say this. I actually heard somebody else say this too, but I've built many, many machines that I think we probably all have, and I'm always running into problems. And I always want to, the graphics card goes out. I go out and buy another graphics card, but I have to analyze it. This is an appliance device. The only thing I'm plugging into this thing are hard drives.
Yeah, have you put it on like a kilowatt to see how much it draws?
I have not. I do have a kilowatt, but I have not plugged it in there. They do provide information on their website about that, and depending on the unit, you get varying degrees of power consumption, but it's fairly low.
No, the PC backups are those incremental backups, and are they full images? So you could restore an entire, buy a new hard drive for a desktop, drop it in, and re-image?
Well, it comes with its own software for backups, and I did install it and take a look, but it was not image-based. It's more file-based. So okay. I went out and actually bought Acronis, which I've had varying levels of success with, especially with their latest version, unfortunately. But I do incremental backups with the Acronis software off of 2 machines. One is a laptop that's usually on Wi-Fi. That does not work out very well. I don't recommend doing backups over the network for large hard drives over Wi-Fi. Off of my machine, what I back up is usually about between 500 and 600 gigabytes, and I do a daily backup. It's incremental, and then once a week, I think it does a full backup. That can take a long time to run, even at 50 or 60 gigabytes a second or 80. You get varying degrees, but if you turn encryption on or if you turn compression on, then that slows down a lot. So, and the device that I'm running, I run 4 hard drives in it, so this particular unit can have up to 4 hard drives. And as I mentioned, they have a variety of different units you can purchase with different number of hard drives to place in it. And you don't have to fill them all. You could just put 2 in and then expand later. But I run it as a RAID 5. So I bought 4 2-terabyte hard drives, and that brought me down to, I think, 5.36 terabytes running under RAID 5. And that provides 1 hard drive of failure.
Right.
And the installation on this thing, I want to mention that when I did the installation, I also did the full hardware scan or the full surface scan on the disks. It took 8 hours.
Oh, sure.
Roughly 8 hours.
Yeah, the biggest mistake you can run on a headless device like that is to run a check disk. Oh my God! You'll swear to God, I killed it. I crashed it, and it's like you say, it'll take. Sometimes I had my HP MediaSmart when it had the Celeron in it. I did a check disk on a 2-terabyte drive, and it took like 3 days. So fortunately, I kind of took the Swiss Army knife to my MediaSmart server, and it now has a 3 gigahertz dual core E8400 CPU in it. So now we actually get some processing power out of it. But yeah, that can be a real issue. And that's the one thing I do like from Windows Home Server is the way it does its backup, and in the sense that it's very efficient in the way it stores the data. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but if this is old information, just shout me down. But basically what it's doing is it's storing unique sectors only once. So like if you've got 6 computers attached to your Windows Home Server and they all run Windows 7, all the identical files that run that comprise Windows 7, all those unique sectors to that operating system are only stored once. And then the Windows Home Server actually keeps a database of which computers use those sectors. So it's not like you're copying 5 or 6 copies of Windows 7 to the home server. You're just copying unique sectors, and then it keeps track of which computers get those unique sectors in which spots on those computers if you need to do a backup. So it's a very efficient method and of eliminating redundant data in the backup.
Yeah, John, do you know on the backup software in the Synology, is it doing any kind of data, where compression or smart data backup? Do you know?
I assume, and I don't know for sure whether the software that comes with it is doing compression, but I know it does not do what. And there's a name for what you're referring to, Gary, on how Windows Home Server saves those files. I don't remember, or reuses the files from multiple PCs. That I did like. I thought that was great on the home server. Unfortunately, if you use their built-in technology, you can only, isn't it 2 terabytes is your maximum storage space, which isn't going to be enough for me.
Oh, so no, I've got 4 2-terabyte drives in mine, and you can turn on, the file duplication if you're concerned about that. So, I get, I think it's like 7.5 terabytes.
Aren't you, by using the stock settings, aren't you limited to 2 terabytes for backup?
No.
I think the confusion there is, Gary, you're using version 1 of Windows Home Server, right?
Oh, yeah.
And John's talking about 2011's 2
yeah,
terabyte
and in
limit.
fact, that's an issue that I actually have both versions running on the network. I also have a server running Windows Home Server 2011, and that's one of the things I didn't like about it was that doing backups on it and whatnot, I had to go to 3 terabyte drives in order to have enough room, and then I had to start splitting the server folders to different drives in order to be able to do all my backups and to save see my HTPC that records TV has the Windows Home Server connector to Windows Home Server 2011. So now I've got to put the recorded TV folder on Windows Home Server on a separate 3 terabyte drive in order to do the hi Junior, in order to do that that backup, that what do they call it, archiving from Windows Media Center to the Windows Home Server, and make sure I have enough room to absorb that data. So yeah, and we're looking at ways of doing that. I think eventually what I want to do is I want to take that box and put a RAID controller in it, and then configure the RAID array as a single drive, and then install Windows Home Server to that, so that then I get that redundant RAID array with enough storage, just like I've got on Windows Home Server version 1, where I don't have to play move this folder to that drive and which one's running out of space. That's the one thing I didn't like about Server 2011, the only way I can see to remedy that is to build a big RAID array and configure that for let Windows Home Server take that whole multi-drive array and divide it into a 60 gigabyte drive and the rest of it for the storage pool, just like it is on Server version 1. So that's where I'm probably headed.
Well, guys, Dave would be jealous that we're doing all this Home Server show talk on my show.
But just to give you an idea, I've got 4 Samsung F3 drives in my Windows Media Smart Server, which are all 2 terabyte drives, and that gives me a total storage capacity of 7.28 terabytes. So that's pretty decent.
The only other question I had for you, John, is the PC backups that this Synology box does. Can you control the schedule for how long those backups will stay on the hard drives?
With the software that comes with it, I'm not sure. I didn't really use that very much. It looked like it was mostly. I wanted something more image-based, and I tested both what came with Windows Ultimate Edition, and then also the Acronis, and they both worked fine. I think you can schedule. Yes, it's not a bad solution if you just want to copy files. And I ended up running into, I had a little bit of a bad start with backups because I found out that my 64-bit machine that I use, which I have 8 gigabytes of RAM in it, anytime I do a backup, it fails unless it's only got 4 gigs or less. So I had to take out 4 gig of RAM in my PC in order to do successful backups. And I'm not 100% sure what's going on there yet, but it took me a while to figure that out. And
it is kind of odd.
Yeah, very odd. It's working fine now. But yeah, it's not the software that comes with it isn't bad, and it's, you get it at no additional charge. But I was looking for something a little more robust.
John, you're going to have, you did a write-up for us, and we're going to post that over at the Home Server Show on this as well. The Synology is actually one of Dave's favorite boxes, so there should be no problem getting that post up and going on Home Server Show. But so folks who want to get some more information and read John's review of his Synology box, we'll have that up. Hopefully, it might take me a week. I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so I may not get to it right away. But up over at the Home Server Show, homeservershow.com. Very cool. Any last thoughts on that, John?
I just want to reiterate that the price is a little high if you're just looking to store some files.
Yeah. So the appropriate thing right now in chat would for people to put $signs in the chat. I want to see that happen. That's on the Home Server Show. Whenever I mention Drobo, there we go. So Andrew got it done for me.
I think it's got some real strengths though in its media handling and the DLNA and UNP. Yeah, it just seems to have a lot of iTunes server. I mean, it looks like it's really strong in those areas. So for people that are media focused and videos and stuff like that, I can see that as being a real asset.
Definitely.
And it just works. It just works. I haven't had any problems with setting. I mean, outside of maybe a few configuration settings, but that were my own fault. But it has just worked. I have had problems with DLNA servers on my network, and this has just worked flawlessly.
Very cool. Good stuff. Of course, it's an alternative for backup if you're doing nothing, and very well designed. As I look at these Synology boxes, the engineering of them is very nice. They do a nice job, both presentation, and then once you put the hard drives in, I have using a lot of Drobo equipment. I've got an appreciation for nice engineering. I need to try one of these Synology boxes so I can compare them head to head. But looks good, John. Thanks for doing that as well. So. Gordon, sorry to make you last, but somebody had to be last here on the podcast.
No problem.
I know you've got some, you want to talk a little bit about the dreaded modem, and I think the modem is probably the most misunderstood piece of equipment or tech equipment in the house today. Nobody, the cable guy, we talked about this earlier, the cable guy comes out and installs it, says don't screw with it, and you don't ever mess with it. It just sits on a shelf somewhere. It's hidden. You plug your PCs into it, or you plug your router into it so you can get, the rest of your house connected. There are ways to get into it, though, right?
Yeah, there are. I first ran into this issue this last spring when I started noticing that my bandwidth was getting pretty horrible, where Netflix wouldn't even want to run. It would just time out and say, no, thank you, you don't have enough bandwidth. So then I started looking at it and started calling my ISP. And was using speedtest.net. I'm sure everybody knows of that, but
no, I've always used PCPitstop.com for my speed test. So that's another one that you could use. Okay. I think everybody's kind of got their own. Andrew, you've got one that you use, right? You got another one for speed.
I use speedtest. Speedtest.net as well.
Okay, all right.
Speakeasy's a good one too.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Speakeasy.com.
.net.
.net. Okay. Go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, and I was looking at it, and the first thing they'll ask you to do is go ahead and disconnect your router, connect directly in your modem, and do a speed test. And usually you lose, from what I've learned through this whole experience, you lose about a meg running through your router is what they tell you. And that seemed to be true in the tests that I've run. You can get into your modem by just simply typing 192.168.100.1, and then you can get in there. You can see different screens. They'll auto refresh on you. You should have like a main page, and you should say all operational, complete, successful on those different categories. You should have a diagnostics, an event log, and then you might have a setup if you're lucky enough. The signal strengths. What's interesting in here is you don't want any of the numbers in there to fluctuate very much at all, is what I was told. And you can actually, if you get in here and do enough digging around for the average tech guy, you can actually flash your bootloader and the software version on your modem to a newer version. It'll get pushed to it from the ISP if there's one out there, and then you can make it fix any issues that you might have.
Probably not something you want to do unless you're having issues, right? I mean, this is one of those things. Yeah. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at. It's interesting just to understand and know what's going on there before it gets to your router and to your computer. But yeah, if you were having issues, and it might be at the modem, but most likely it's coming from the ISP, or it's something after the modem in your local network.
Mine's pretty simple. I just went to that address, not even a username and password. I just logged right in.
No, you can get right in. Yeah.
And I have a Linksys BEFCMU10 version 4. I'm sure there's a gazillion of those out there.
Yeah.
Not very good. No stats. Nothing very good.
Oh, okay.
It's just kind of, I have a modem tab. I have a connection tab, which is got 3 sections in it with some static information, and then I have a modem log, and so I don't. It's got some DHCP renew issues going on, so it's maybe something to look at.
Yeah, and since this spring, I've had 4 technicians out to my house, because every time I call, they seem to forget I've previously called, and with the utilization issue in my area, where basically it's at 90% with everybody just not doing anything, as soon as one person turns on Netflix or starts streaming something, we hit 98, and then they scale everybody back so that they can keep it at that no higher than 90.
And your DSL or cable? I'm sorry.
Cable.
Cable, okay.
Yeah. And he was saying that the event log, I have tons of critical and warnings in there. He said that's normal, which I don't understand. And as a person that works with IT during the day, I don't understand a log that's basically got critical and warning all over it. It might as well just not
Must be Microsoft.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's not working. That's okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. Your tire's flat. Don't worry about it. Just keep driving. You'll be fine.
It'll take care of itself.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing to remember in all this is that if you shut off and disconnect the power to your modem for a minute or two and reconnect it, it does refresh everything from the ISP to your modem. So if you're working on somebody else's machine, somebody else's network, and they're having issues, disconnecting that for a little bit, plugging it back in, and then going to this 192, 168, 101 and checking it to see what's changed, and if the numbers are clear and aren't jumping around all over the place, that usually helps out a lot.
Yeah, a couple months ago, Gary will remember this night, I had some problems with my system. I came home and nothing worked, and I was plugging in. So I was unplugging, like you said, Gordon, you can sometimes unplug your modem and unplug your router and then plug them back in. Everything gets reset. And we had a show to do, and so I was hurrying through it. And what I was not doing is giving the modem enough time after I unplugged it to acquire before I plugged the router back in. And so they were having they were not allowed to rediscover themselves, basically. The old numbers were staying, and those old numbers were a mismatch. When I think the power came back up, I don't think everything got reset correctly that night. So I could not get, and I was getting more and more and more frantic. I got a podcast to do, and I think we ended up moving the podcast. Did we skip the podcast that week, Gary? Did I cancel that altogether?
I think we just gave up that night.
But what mattered in that is that I gave it 30 seconds to acquire the numbers it needed. So if you're troubleshooting your router yourself or your modem or your router, and you unplug those things, plug them back in, give them each a good 20 or 30 seconds to kind of acquire the numbers they need to get, and just don't plug everything back in at the same time. I guess that's my point.
Usually there's a decent set of indicator lights on most of these modems that you can monitor that to see whether or not you've got the internet established.
Yeah.
But if you're impatient,
if you're trying to do a podcast and
if
you got people waiting,
giving you all kinds of grief.
Yeah, Christian trying to troubleshoot it. What are you talking to me on? I'm like, I'm on my phone, Christian, not a computer. He couldn't figure out why I was on Skype and was having internet problems until I had to tell him I'm on my phone. So
I've been having intermittent cable modem problems potentially cable modem problems as well. But the problem is it's so intermittent, I can't tell if it's the cable provider, my modem, or my router.
Yeah.
Because if I reset either of the two, it usually clears it up. So I'm not, at this point, it's so intermittent, I'm not sure what's going on.
On wireless or wired?
Wired.
Yeah. The biggest, that was the big motivation for me. I'm real fortunate that we've got Verizon Fios, and when I got off the cable modem with Time Warner and shifted to the Verizon Fios, it was like night and day. It is so rock solid, dependable. The speed is as advertised 100% of the time. I'm never down. It just what a remarkable service. I just love it.
There's a point in that diagnostics on your modem when you get in there that I was told is the most critical is the SNR. It stands for signal to noise ratio, and you want that to be around 30 decibels. If it's higher than that, he said 30 to 38 would be your high. If you're at 38, he said you probably have some issues, and all that is just noise interference that's coming through the line to your modem, and you want that as low as possible to get the best signal strength.
What was that number again?
The SNR, you want it between 30 to 38, and he said if you're at 38, you've potentially got some issues.
Oh, I'm at 39.1. Huh.
Yeah, how many signal boosters you got on that line, Jim?
Oh, that's not good. No wonder. No wonder. Although when I test my speed, I get great speed. I mean, I get 25 down. So
yeah. And the technicians I've talked to said that he said it depends on how many splitters you're going through after it hits your house. And he said it's possible that your splitter needs to be upgraded or you just need to get a new one to fix that.
All right, yeah. New always helps, John. You said, if you get 2 out of 3 that are bad, just crush 2 and buy new ones, and then you'll know, right?
I've had 3 cable modems in my life.
Oh, man.
So and I've had more routers than that. So
yeah.
I don't trust any of them after a couple of years.
Gary, I think this was the advice you gave me. I give a router about 2 years, and then it's pretty much done, especially the way my kids game on them. They just heat them up. I mean, I come down here, and they are hot.
Really? The funny thing is, my neighbor next door was whining and complaining. He was having troubles with his router, and he wanted a new one. You know what I bought him?
What?
The old Linksys WR54G.
Yeah.
It's like, that thing's a bulldozer. You can't kill that thing.
It's a workhorse. I've got one of those.
That's in the garage.
they last forever, and for his needs, wireless G is plenty. So, yep, that's what I gave him.
I think this is the old device right here. Let me make sure that this is the.
And that's Linux too, right? So you can put Tomato on there if you want.
Yep.
No, this is version 6. So 4 and below are the ones that had the right. I think 3 or below. Chat would know.
Yeah, the one I got him was Tomato capable, but it was the most dependable router ever made. As far as dependability goes, that's it. That's the pinnacle of everything else after that is downhill.
Well, that's not good because I've got one of those that's dead. It works as a hub still,
right?
But other than that, or a switch, I should say, but it doesn't work. And so that was one of my first. And so yeah, everything after that has been bad too.
I was just going to say, how long did that first one last though?
I'm not sure. It's been a long time.
Gary, I bought a D-Link. I was just going to go look at this. I think it's a 614 or 614. It's a wireless, and I bought it maybe a year and a half ago now, and that's been a Rockstar too. So that thing, like I said, my kids can just heat those things up with their games. They do get warm. Oh. And what's worse is if I stack something on top of it, then they get no heating. Yeah, they just burn out. Yep. So I'm actually mounted. I have up on the wall here. I have a little pegboard, and I just put a screw in the wall, and I mounted the wireless router right to the wall so that nothing could be stacked on it, and it had great air, movement around it. And I think that's been the key, to be honest, is keeping that thing cool, because people jam those things in corners and hide them and throw clothes on top of them and submerge them in water.
Yeah, it's part of my problem. I've got mine in a cabinet in my family room, but it's in an ideal location as far as it's the center of the house. But there isn't a lot of ventilation, and in the summer, I think that tends to cook my router.
Yeah, it does. John, did you say where? Where did you say in the?
Structured wiring cabinets are a killer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All space.
Right. They're typically not conditioned. The air is not conditioned in any way, and nothing moves, and it's some good stuff. Well, guys, we've used up our allotted time, and so we will wrap it up at this point. I appreciate the conversation that we had. Some good stuff this evening. Hopefully you've gotten something out of tonight's podcast. I want to thanks the guys out in chat. Some good stuff going on out there. It always seems like every single podcast that we do, at least lately, we always have one let's look back segment, and Gary, you had that with the router. Let's look back. Remember the good old days when you
Well, when you've been around as long as I have, you got a lot to look back at.
It's some good stuff. Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. John, thanks for taking the time tonight to come out, and we'll get that post put together and moved out to thehomeservershow.com. Gordon, it's always good to have you, and I know you're a busy guy. It's good to see your kids running around in the background there. And
thanks for having me on again.
You bet. They do great during the podcast. It seems like when I do Spartan podcast as well, I always get Carrie has this little girl that comes in and joins us, so it kind of adds a nice element to the podcast. It's a family podcast after all. And so, Andrew, you got any special plans? You going anywhere big for the weekend?
We got 2 football grand finals on this weekend. So tomorrow is the AFL grand final, which is the Australian rules football, and which is like no football you guys have ever seen before.
Yeah, and it's brutal football. It's what it is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, those guys are to each other.
It's probably the equivalent of gridiron without the padding.
It's like MMA football.
Yeah, that's on. Yeah. And then we've got the rugby league grand final on Sunday. So
nice.
Big weekend of footy this weekend.
All right. So it's all Australian rules football, right? It's
no, NRL is the rugby league. So which one's that? That one's Thugs for Gentlemen's as opposed to gentlemen playing for Thugs.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's another one of those things that I started appreciating on Universal Sports. They would they play World Cup rugby, and Americans are so far away from that game. We just have no idea how tough. I mean, those guys are basically playing football without any gear. I mean, no mouth guards,
and they get
guards, no helmets.
They wear mouth guards, but like as in the one that goes over your teeth. But most of them, when they get slammed, they get poleaxed big time.
Yeah, that's good. Well, good stuff, Gary. You got any plans for the weekend? Are you gonna make Christian do homework all weekend?
Well, yeah, he's really buried. He's just taken an incredible workload at school.
Yeah.
So he's scrambling, and this is his junior year, so he's got to get ready for all of his SAT, ACT testing as well. So,
right.
Yeah, you may see me a little bit more often for the next few months than him.
Right. That's good. We'll take you. That's all. That's all. Okay. That's all good. You're a good replacement for Christian. You don't rant about HP as much as he does, but. We didn't
makes it easier for me anyway.
We didn't even talk about HP. He could have ranted. They fired their CEO last week and then picked up an old CEO from eBay. And you know what, Mark Hurd, buy HP. So listen, Mark Hurd, buy HP, fire the board. That's just my advice.
There you go. I used to love it. He gets it from me. I used to love HP stuff, and then I just hit a bad streak, and I just. The quality just went downhill the last few years, and is all low price point components.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting, and Andrew, you can close your ears here for a second. I think it'll be
Andrew.
It'll be an interesting 6 months
not
for HP,
personal
HP globally.
Well, Meg Whitman has definitely got a track record. Yeah. Maybe she'll pull it out of the fire. You never know.
She's got an awesome feedback rating as well.
Okay, so that one, how many times did that go around the water cooler at the office?
Most people didn't even know who she was.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as long as she doesn't buy Skype, I think we'll be all right. So.
Oh yeah, we're in good hands with Microsoft.
I know. Microsoft will sell Skype for a $10 billion loss to HP. Anyways, all right, enough, guys. Thanks for coming out. We'll do the show again next Thursday. I'll be back from California and have some good news for you guys. Maybe even some Drobo footage or some Drobo audio and of my time.
Samples?
That would be nice. Well, I'll see what I can dig up. Maybe some stickers. How's that sound? All right, guys. We'll do it all again next week, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's 5 on the West Coast. Have a great evening, and we'll see you back here on the Home Tech Podcast.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a good one, folks.
See you.
Okay. That's a little longer than I wanted, but that's okay. It's good. No, it's good stuff.
Say, Jim, we were talking about one monitor versus two monitors yesterday, and with.
Uh-oh. Did I lose everybody? Just go.
Your mic with the boot.
It's breaking up. It's breaking up.
Hold on one sec, Gordon. Just a sec.
All right.
That was like a Star Wars moment then. This isn't the audio you're looking for.
Okay. Start that sentence over again.
I was going to say with your boom and your mic right there and having one monitor versus two monitors, you said you had two monitors, right?
Right.
Is it cutting off one monitor, or how are you dealing with the mic coming in? Is it cutting off?
No. Well,
yeah, you got to do the Limbaugh thing. Come over the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hang it from the ceiling.
It looks really cool, but I would be concerned about how to set it up so it doesn't interfere with the view.
Well, no. When I'm sitting like this, right, I can see everything.
Okay.
So no, I've got complete access. Maybe down in this corner, in the right-hand side corner here.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Rich. And by the way, Rich, thanks for putting the podcast into the Dropbox in the middle of the show. That hit Andrew's Dropbox and that hit my Dropbox, and we saw a little bit of bandwidth issues during that. So, anyways, So yeah, the bottom right-hand corner of the second screen maybe is a little out of visibility. There's a couple times that I might need to, come down to take a peek at it, something like that. But yeah, I've got a shock mount coming that will give me another pivot point. And most of the guys have been running these mics down low, kind of like this.
Yeah.
And that, especially in this spot, that gives you really good access to the monitors.
Yeah, and with that Yeti, you can do bidirectional, or you can twist it and tell which angle you want it to go at, right?
Right. Yeah, there's some settings in the back here that there's 4 different settings here that do, interview style. Well, one directional, unidirectional, interview style, stereo, and then I think multi-directional, which is kind of a 3D. I have to go back and
pick up anything and everything.
I just leave it.
Interesting.
I just leave it down, and I got to be careful because I get it way too close to me. It needs to be about an arm's or about a hand's distance away.
Yeah, I couldn't tell a difference when you had it close right there and when you had it further away.
I've got the gain down pretty good. You can hear when I get right up on it.
Now it sounds like you're
you can do the intro for Spartan. You found Spartan Radio.
Yeah, Andrew likes that intro. You found Spartan Radio. So
podcast with the biggest testicles on the industry.
Yeah, I don't know if probably nobody listening has ever listened to Spartan Radio, but we've got a lot of athletes that listen to that show. So, yeah. So it's so Gordon, I'm still kind of monkeying around with what's the right, overhead, under, to the side. The consensus at the moment has been coming in from the side, but
like almost behind you at an angle, kind of. Like right next to you, and it tips up.
Yeah, actually, if it could come in straight this way, that might be. I don't know. This isn't bad. Yeah. The way I've got it right now is not bad at all.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Hey, something that maybe you guys might take a look at when you got a little time is this the Amazon streaming video with the what is it, the Plus account, is it?
Prime, you mean?
Yeah, Prime. That's it. It doesn't look like all of their streaming video is available free for the Amazon Prime account.
Okay.
It looks like there's a separate category that's free streaming for the Prime account, but it doesn't include all of their video.
Yeah, good to know. Good to take a look at before you spend $80.
Yeah, if it was the whole library, that would be pretty tempting. But it looks so now you got to try and figure out, well, how much is it? What percentage and what things that aren't in the, and then how much have I got to pay? So
yeah.
Well, what hardware devices support that streaming from them?
I think it's. Let me think about this for a second. That might be a good chat question. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I don't have it, but I think it would be.
I assume it's not. You don't have to watch it on your PC, right?
No, but you would probably have to have an internet connection through an HTPC, probably or a TV that was that had it built in.
Let's look.
Just like
Netflix.
Like
Roku or Boxy or TiVo or one of the DVD players that has a variety of.
I would
your
guess.
Laptop plugged into your TV.
That's too easy, Gordon.
Since we're talking about Amazon a little bit, the Fire, if it's only running Android 2.3, you said?
Yeah.
Then it's not going to get any of you need 3.0 and higher to get any of those tablet applications.
Yeah, we'll root that
right.
In no time.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be updated pretty quick too.
Yeah. If they don't do that, it won't be that good.
They're not encouraging right now. I mean, they really are encouraging the Amazon apps to be used for that, right? To go to the Amazon store and download the Amazon apps.
I grab the free one every day still. I missed a couple of days, but...
Yeah, let's see. Let me find Prime.
We don't get that in Australia. It's a bitch.
You don't get what?
Sound like fun.
We don't get the free app down here. We're not entitled to download them.
They are holding.
That's not fair.
They're holding the man down.
Yeah, well, it's the same with the touchpad apps. They throw up 5 or 6 touchpad apps free every week, and we can't get them because we don't live in the US.
Can't you spoof your MAC address to be in the US?
Well, no, it's based on the store that you.
Allegedly, I can't do that.
You could probably get some creative young high school kid to put it on for you.
He's got enough work on his plate already.
Yeah. I'm looking this up right now. One sec here. I guess I need to know more about Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It's $80 a year, huh?
Yeah, let's see. I'm sure there's some folks out there in chat who's using it. Free 2-day shipping. Let's see. Where's the video part?
Rich is saying to me, let him in. How do I invite him in?
Oh, hold on. I'll bring him in. Rich O'Neill. Here he comes.
Yeah, you keep missing those Google Plus Hangouts.
Yeah, same time this weekend, Gordon. If you wanna,
I'll have to see if it works. Get in there.
Yeah, it's 1 Pacific to. There he comes. To 3:00 Central, 4 Eastern. Yeah. Hey, Rich. Can you hear us?
Hey, guys. Yeah,
how you doing?
Hey, Rich.
All right.
Hang on. I'm going to flip the video on and totally knock your bandwidth out.
So you're going to tell us everything there is to know about Prime?
Looks like Roku has support in February.
No, I just wanted to come in. I was just feeling a little lonely.
Don't you get enough of your own podcast on Saturday?
Yeah, but, you know. But
it's
no.
an addiction.
But no.
Yeah, it is an addiction, actually. Yeah. Ask Jim.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Podcast.
Yeah.
You had said before
Dave created a monster.
Was it you, Jim, that said that the Fire does it not have a camera on the front?
No camera.
Because Skype just went through on Android and released it for any of the tablets. So now I can I was going to try it tonight, but figured I wouldn't push it, doing Skype with the front-facing video on a tablet.
Oh, yeah.
I could do it from the...
Yeah, you could do it from the touchpad. You know, Andrew, that'd be interesting if you dropped out and then we connected you via the touchpad. That'd be interesting to see how that would work. You want to try that?
Oh, that's what
let me see if I've even got Skype set up on it.
Okay, so it's native. Remember?
Yeah, I know.
Remember
you didn't have to wait for anything on that one.
Remember all my blogs that I wrote about that thing?
The 34 of them?
Yeah, just about. Rich, nice
They're
mic.
good at.
Okay, Amazon Instant Video is on Vizio TV, supported Vizio TV, Samsung TVs, Mac or PC, of course. Unbox video player, video on Sony, Bravia devices. Mm-hmm. It's available on TiVo, Roku, Panasonic. It says on your TV, through Google TV, and through some LG devices. So all those have some kind of player for the Amazon.
So yeah, they're all getting on board.
Yeah, the Roku would be the way to go. If you're gonna watch, if you're gonna go with Prime, pick up a $79 Roku box. That'd probably be the easiest way to do it, I would think. If your TV, ouch. If your TV, it's all right. If your TV, I've got really sensitive. I'm learning this headset's pretty ear splitting.
Is that the newest gag in Australia?
Huh?
Was that the newest gag in Australia?
Me clearing my throat.
Oh.
So yeah, the Roku would be the way to go, I would think. $79 and watch Amazon stuff.
Yeah, like I say, they say that unlimited streaming of thousands of movies and TV shows, but I don't know if that includes the entire library because if you search for something, let me think here.
Where would I
don't know
go?
what my Skype password is.
I'll tell you what it is. Just a second. Just kidding.
Wise guy. Not my
What's the
username
Amazon
is.
Prime website?
Just go to Amazon.com.
/Prime.
Thank you.
Okay.
Trying to see what their Prime Instant. So Prime Instant videos. So they got Star Trek in HD. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. That'd be worth it right there. That's my favorite Star Trek series. Cheers. Medium. So a lot of TV. Wow, this might be good.
Isn't it missing some of the? It's got Hawaii 5.0 numbers. Some of the newer ones.
It's got the classic
maybe Hulu
5.0.
The subscribe Hulu is maybe better for the newer TV shows.
Okay. All right. Now, seeing as how you're a Star Trek fan, I'll give you a real sci-fi series to watch. Do a search under TV search for Firefly.
Oh, I've already seen it. I've seen them all.
I know it, but when you bring that up,
yeah,
it doesn't show you that it's free for Prime. It shows you by episodes. Okay, so there's nothing there that indicates that you can just watch that on Prime. Whereas if you go back and change TV or to movies in TV, and if you find the original Firefly movie, that does.
Well, isn't the Amazon Instant Video part of the Prime system? So
I don't see that. That's what I'm not. That's what's not clear.
Okay.
Is whether or not everything in their library is included for free. Right? Maybe we just have to call them.
They don't even have telephones. This is an internet
Amazon.
company. Yeah. They don't have customer service.
They got to have chat or something, or an email or whatever.
All right, let's see.
I don't know. It's just ambiguous. You would think on all their stuff, if it was free, they would advertise.
Well, you know what though? Maybe when you're signed in with your Prime account, maybe that stuff cuts over to free.
Maybe. All right, I'll have to sign up and try it.
Yeah. Is there a free trial? I think you can get a free trial at Prime, so you can try it. Well, I guess
that's what it
what I'll have to
says.
do.
Unlimited 1 month, 1 month free trial.
Yeah, Howard, get off my back. He's just riding me. He is just riding me. He's like
he's in the mood tonight, huh?
He is. He's feisty. He went to the gym. He's
Oh
feisty.
jeez. Oh,
Guys, I need to chat with John Hughes. So I don't want to throw you guys off, but I need to.
Do you want to test this touchpad thing?
Actually, if you, oh yeah, you're right. I do. No, I do. So kill your Skype and then come back. I'll bring you back on your touchpad. Go.
All right.
This is gonna be sweet.
Ding 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 ding.
Okay, let's add him back. Let's just not call him back now. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew. Let's see, where'd he go? Morris. I don't see him. Oh, there we go. Andrew Morris. I had to call. Now, if you've ever had a Palm device, it's going ding a ding a ding a ding a ding a ding 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 a ding ding a ding a ding 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 ding.
How long did you have your Palm Pre for?
Oh, year.
Year? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, no Andrew. Let's see, let's try it again.
Is John in trouble?
I told him you weren't going to call him.
No, John is not in trouble.
Oh.
John. It's John. Dad, is John in trouble?
That was a spectacular fail.
Total failure? What happened?
Yeah, Rich let your secret out of the bag.
Oh, I was trying to call you back.
Nice.
So did it go ding a ding a ding 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 ding?
Didn't do shit.
What?
No.
Huh. That's no good. It didn't ring?
Didn't do anything.
Should have bought an iPad. Nice, Rich. I feel good about it.
Don't worry, mate.
All right.
How much did your device cost, Rich?
Oh, you know what, Andrew? That's not gonna. It's not gonna work because we're on group, and group video is not supported on that. We tried that. That's one of the very first things I tried. I thought that was you I was working with. I was at work, and I tried. No, it was Rich. I called Rich, and then we tried Skyping in Mike Howard, and I couldn't because it doesn't support group video chat. So
I just
point to point it would work. I should call you back a little bit later. We do point to point, but
it's interesting. I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried this. I'm signed into Skype with my tab.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I found our ongoing call right now.
Yeah?
I clicked on it and swapped over to it. Just literally picked it up, moved it right to the tab. I was listening to you guys on the tab, no video, and I heard you saying the thing about the group video. And I went back to my PC, said join call, it dropped it there and picked it up there. I didn't know that. So it looks like you can just hop back and forth between them without any interruption at all.
Well, there you go. Galaxy Tab, $6.99.
Woohoo!
Price of a Drobo.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
What a steal.
I love it.
Maybe next year.
All right, gents. I'm going to kick you off. If that's all right.
All right, good luck, Tom.
I'm gonna ask you to drop off. I need to talk to John for a few minutes.
See ya.
All right, thanks, Gary.
So what's an iPad worth, Rich?
What's an iPad worth? I don't know, $349.
All right, I'm throwing you off.
Bye, guys.
See ya. See ya, Rich. I'll
Bye.
catch up with you guys later.
Yep.
Let's see. Who else do we have here? I need to throw. I'm going to